Okay, so we are recording this session today. You will be able to access it through our YouTube channel. The link to our YouTube channel is on that original email that Gordon sent out with the invitation to this session. So if you do want to go back and watch this again or listen to it, it will be, you can just go to the link through there. Or if you have lost that email, if you go to YouTube and search for Olds College Educational Technology and Curriculum, you have to search for the whole name of our department, you'll find our channel. So it has all of the sessions from the previous ones that we've done, like on email, calendar. There's also all the Moodle workshops as well are on there. So if you have any use of Moodle, if you'd like to look into those are there as well. So, all right. So this is a Google Hangout is what this is. And actually, we're going to be doing a whole nother session on Google Hangouts later on. I think it's in the next couple weeks. It's coming up. So basically how this, it kind of works like Skype or FaceTime. But then we also have it linked to our YouTube channel, and then it automatically just uploads the video. And as it's recorded, it gets put up on YouTube. So it's pretty neat how it works. So that's going to be running in the background as I do the Google Drive session. So I'm going to pull up my screen here. So I wanted to start. I just have a short little PowerPoint that I wanted to go through first, just kind of talking about what is the benefits of using Drive, why would you use this, why wouldn't we just stick with using Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel. So there definitely are some advantages of both. You may still have some reasons you do want to go back and keep using Word and PowerPoint and Excel. We know that's the case. There are times that I'm still going back and using Word, but we just wanted to show you where some examples are that you could be using Drive and doc, sheets, and slides. So docs is the equivalent of a Word doc, sheets are the equivalent of Excel, and slides are the equivalent of PowerPoint. Okay. So really, Drive, it's meant to address that document management issues. So you've probably had this where when we all used to work in Microsoft Word, that you would get a version, you would save it, you would say version 1, and then send it back to that person, and they would work on it and send it back to you, and they'd have to say version 2. And oh, do I have the most recent? Am I working? Do I need to wait till they send me this one back before I can work on it again? Who has the most recent version? What one are we working on? So working in Drive, it really allows you that when you log into your Drive, you go into the document, you know that it's the most recent version. Everyone's working on the same one. You're not having multiple copies floating around, trying to be sent by email back and forth. Everyone logs into their Drive. As long as it's shared to the people you want to access it with, you know that everyone's going to be working on the same thing. Again, we can't find the file. Who has it? Is it in the email? Is it in my S drive? Is it in my P drive? Where have I put it? So again, if it's always in Drive, everyone knows where it is, and everyone has access to it. And George has a good story to go with this when he did the session on Monday, where he's worked in government industries, and he said like they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to find ways to manage all of that document management, and the security behind it, and who has what, and who's trying to get versions to each other. So really, Drive simplifies a lot of that, and it's pretty inexpensive for us to use it, so that works well. And with Google Apps, and we'll talk about this in all of the sessions, it's not just with Drive. Really, the benefits of using anything with Google is the integration, the collaboration, and the access. So Drive, really, it's the collaboration piece is probably the biggest one, that you can then work on a document with anybody. You're all working on the same one. And the access is you can do it from any computer as long as you have internet access. So here on campus, if you're working on your S drive or your P drive, you really can only access those when you are here on campus. It's really hard to get access to those off campus. With your Drive, as long as you have Wi-Fi, as long as you have an internet connection on any device anywhere in the world, you can get on and work on the same documents. So really, that's a strong benefit of that. Okay, so what Google Drive is, and really all of the Google products are this, but they're cloud-based. And really, so what cloud-based means is that Google has like large, basically big, huge buildings all around the world that have these huge servers in them that where all of our Google Drive information is. So they have backups of all of our information. If you are looking for something, kind of an additional backup, there are third-party software that you can buy to do backups of your information. But just within the Olds College system, they feel that Google is very secure, it is very safe. Google does a very good job of backing up their own information, so we usually don't have to worry too much about that. Since we are a Google Apps for Education, which is at BAFE institution, we really have unlimited storage space, especially if you are doing everything in Google, like Drive, Docs, Sheets. Those don't count against your storage. Personal, you get about 15 gigabytes if you have a personal Gmail account. You can store any kind of file type, like so if you want to do just Drive documents, or if you want to put PDFs, if you want to put pictures, if you want to put Excel, Word, PowerPoint, you can put those files in there. So really Drive can be a storage for specific Google products, or it can be for other kinds of documents that you want to put in. And what counts towards the storage limit? Really it's anything that's non-Google is what counts against it. So when you put in really large PDFs, really large PowerPoints, really large videos and pictures, that is what is going to count against you. Just recently, we did have a certain limit. We did have, I think it was 30 gigabytes that we had per account, but I think they just recently changed that, and now, since we're at Google Apps for Education, we have unlimited storage. So I think it's just the size of per each file you may have a limit, but if it's 5 terabytes, that's pretty big, so you probably won't have to worry about that.
So say that again, that we do or we don't have a personal limit?
Your personal limit would be just if you had your own personal, like an @Gmail account, that would be limited to 15 gigabytes. But since we are Google Apps for Education accounts, then, and even when it was 30 gigabytes, chances are you probably weren't even close to that, especially if you created a lot of Google Docs and Drives and Sheets, those never counted against your limit. It was just PDFs and Word, Excel, PowerPoint, things that were non-Google products. All right, so these are the things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to get into searching in Google Drive. How do you make folders? How do you make the different kinds of documents? How do you share them, files and folders? You can share either one. And then with collaborating, how do you make comments, and the revision history. Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, actually, I'm done with the slideshow, and we're going to go into Drive. But let me just go back and check and make sure I have my... Can you see what's... Okay. What does it have on the one that I've invited you to?
Oh, I see your screen.
Okay. Let's try this again. So I'm just going to go into my Drive, but I'm just going to... Apologize for this. Just want to make sure that... Try this one. Is there still nothing coming up on there? No. Okay. But their screen isn't. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll come back to this in a minute and we'll play around with the screen sharing. Okay. So let me just try one more thing. Sorry about this, guys. We just want to make sure the people that are with us are seeing what we're seeing. Okay, well, we'll come back to this. We'll do this first. Okay, so with Google Drive, if you've logged into your Drive, usually what comes, so you can just go into your mail when you're in your mail and in your calendar. If you want to get into your Drive, there's these 9 little squares up at the top. That will always take you to wherever you need to go. So when you click on your apps, so you can do mail, you can do Drive, calendar, sites, groups, contacts. We're going to get into all, we've covered some of these already. We're going to do sites, and yeah, sites is coming up in another session, but we're going to go to Drive. So when you just click on Drive, it should take you to your Google Drive. Now, these are documents that either you have that have been shared with you and you've pulled into your Drive, or documents that you have shared yourself. Now, with Drive, I'm in the older version right now. You can upgrade to a newer version if you like. It's completely up to you. I'm not sure when they're going to eventually force it over, but it will be in this. If you go into your settings, there's this thing called Experience the New Drive. So when you click on Experience the New Drive, it will automatically just shift over. It says, welcome to the new Google Drive. It's designed to help you get things done. There will be a little bit of differences between this. So you can see, instead of create, it said new. Instead of shared, it now becomes incoming. So it's entirely up to you, whatever one you prefer. I kind of like the old one a little bit better, actually. So I'm going to go back and put it back to that. So you can see how easy it is. I just went back and forth. So it's entirely up to you. You don't have to commit to one and then that's it. You can't go back. So I'm going to stick with the old Drive because chances are that's probably what most of you are still using. So with your Drive, there is the Create button, is where you would go when you would want to make anything new. So you can make a document, a presentation, a spreadsheet. We're going to get into forms. There's a whole other session we're going to have just on forms, so I'm not really going to talk about that today. But when you go into these, if we pick document first, the one thing that I would suggest first is that when you get into the habit of creating any of these, a document, a spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, is that you always go up into the untitled document and name it. Give it a name first. Especially if you are working with students, you would really want to encourage them to do this as well, and especially if it was anything you wanted to be shared back with you, because then you're going to get all these untitled documents shared with you and you won't know what they go with. So it's just a good habit to get into. Right off the top, name your document. We'll just call this Test for Thursday. And really the biggest difference between this and a Google Doc, it has the same basic, a Microsoft Word product. It has the same basic functionalities in File. You're going to see new. You can print it. In Edit, there's some options there. Viewing it, you'll see you can do bold, italics, underline, change the font color, change the font style, all of that. But you'll see there's no Save button. Google automatically saves these for you. So right here where it says All Changes Saved in Drive. So as I type, you can see it's saving, and then as soon as I'm done, it catches up all changes saved in Drive up at the top. So that was probably the biggest thing that I had to get used to when I switched over to Google Docs is, okay, where do I save? I need to save this because we're just so used to saving when we do Microsoft Word. So that's just something that now you don't have to. Automatically, you'll just see all changes saved in Drive. You know it's done that for you.
If you do something, you'll, oh shoot, I didn't do it.
No, you can, there's an undo button.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So yeah, we can do an undo, and there's actually one more thing, there's one more step you can do with it that I'll show you where you can look at the revision history of everyone. We'll get into that when we talk about sharing. Yeah. Yeah, so really it's, and I didn't really want to get into a lot of detail about this. We could probably spend a whole hour just on Google Docs themselves. I wanted to cover a lot of things. But I also wanted to encourage you that if you're ever stuck, like, oh, how do I do this in a Google Doc? I know I could do it in Microsoft Word. Go to Google and ask the question like, how do I change the font in a Google Doc? You can just ask questions like that. Things are going to pop up, change the font in a document. The support.google.com has lots of information on there about how to do things. So remember that you always have that option, that if it's a simple thing like, well, how do I do this in Google? How do I do this in a spreadsheet? How do I do this in slides presentation? Just ask the question. Go to your Google. You might need to open a new tab across the top, because if you're already working in a Google Doc or a Google Slides or a Google Sheet, you're working in a web, basically they're all web pages. They're all websites. You're already in Chrome or Firefox probably. Just open up a new tab across the top. You might want to have one always open just as an option, that it's there when you need to ask your questions. So that's where we would like you to, that's what we really want to encourage everybody is to, and really that's like when George and I do these sessions, we did not go to some faraway session and spend 3 weeks learning all this stuff in a boot camp. We just basically have been playing and clicking and watching videos and reading blogs and asking questions and just kind of figuring it out as we go along. to be honest. So really, if you have a question, ask the question. And then if you're stuck, like if you're not sure how to ask the question or it's not giving you the responses you think you should be getting, then please feel free to give us a call and we definitely can help you out. But don't feel like it's top secret information that we're the only ones that know this stuff. You guys could probably ask the questions and probably find all the answers that you need. But we're definitely here to help you. George is the tech mentor he's the Google Tech Mentor for the whole campus, instructors and staff. So please feel free to give him a call or an email, and all of us in the ETC department can also help you out too. So and IT can help you too. They're pretty good at this Google stuff too. So that you do have lots of options of where you can go. All right. So a document is just the Word document. A presentation is actually, they're pretty close to PowerPoint. If you're doing some pretty advanced things in PowerPoint, you may want to go back to PowerPoint and continue using that. It's entirely up to you. But if you're just doing some simple things, just a basic PowerPoint, this probably works. It comes up, you get to choose a theme, so you can pick and choose whatever color that you like. So if I go down, this one like, okay. And then it gives you the options. You can add different kinds of slides. You can add different kinds of layouts, title slides, body, columns, all of that. You can even get into transitions. If you want to do some animations in your slides, you can do that too. So and then you can also download them as PDFs. You can print them as handouts, just like you could with PowerPoint. So it's just kind of just if you have it as a Word, as a Google document, you can then take it with you wherever you are. You can work on it online. You're not having to carry it, load it onto a stick, or email it to yourself if you're going to be accessing it off campus. So just kind of a good backup for that. Yeah.
All of this is based on us being able to access our college.ca accounts, right?
Yes, which you can as long as you have internet access. So you don't have to be here on campus. You can do it anywhere in the world.
But if you say wanted to, you developed a bunch of your class materials or whatever, and then you leave Olds College, if it's on Google Drive, you can never get back, right? You need to download it all before you leave.
Yes. Yeah. It does live in your Olds College account. Yeah. Yep.
When someone is using a phone or an iPad or whatever, a tablet to there's an attachment that can't be attachment. That's just a function of, say, the phone that they have.
If you are giving them a Google Doc as an attachment, there are specific Doc apps, Sheets apps, and Slides apps that you may want them to download if they're using, especially like an iPad or a phone. Then that attachment would open within the Google Docs app and not like the Chrome or their email app or whatever it is they're trying to just access their email with. So you may want to suggest them, so there's additional apps that they may need to be downloading that they can actually then view those separate attachments in maybe a little bit better than just in their mail. Yeah.
Teresa has a question.
Okay.
I believe she's talking about her drive. She says, my version doesn't have the menus at the top. Is this an option I can change?
Just back in her drive?
I'm just asking.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was while you were talking about drive that she asked that.
So she doesn't have... Maybe just ask her to clarify that a little bit more.
It was when we were working on the doc, but she figured it out.
Okay, awesome, excellent. Okay, and then the other one was spreadsheets. Again, they always come up as untitled. It's always good to have it. Remember to give it whatever you want to call the name of it. And then you're going to find, if you're just doing the same like basic kinds of Excel functions, you can put in formulas, you can sort your columns. And again, I don't use a lot of Excel in the first place, so I don't know even the extent of what Excel can do. So if you're not sure, if you're like, well, I know I can do it in Excel, how do I do it in Sheets? Again, just go to Google and how do I do this in Google Sheets? And you should be able to help you find the answer. So I think just as you play around with these things more and more, you're going to find that they really, probably just like the basic functions of these are very similar. You're going to see, again, up across the top, there's your file, your edit, your view. A few things are in a little bit different places. You are just going to have to kind of get used to maybe in Excel, it's in edit, but in Google, it's in file or something like that, just some of the commands. But for the most part, a lot of these options are there. You can also, in these, you'll see that there's this add-ons. And you can do even more. It says if you're looking for even more Sheets features, get a few add-ons. So these things are third-party applications basically that have been built by other software companies that you can add into your Sheets to do some different things for you. So for example, like Flubaroo is one that instructors can use to hand out, it writes quizzes for your students. So you take a form, turn it into quiz questions, it will automatically mark it for you and give you the grade at the end. Doctopus is something that you can use where you create basically a list in one of your columns of all the people that you would want to share a document with. It then shares out those documents individually with each of those people. You don't have to go in and type all 20 names in your actual document. You can do it through Doctopus, and then it shares it out to them, and then it shares it back with you. It makes all the files in your drive. So if you have a document that you want individual people working on, that they each basically get their own copy, Doctopus might be the one. But if it's one copy that you want all 20 people all working on the same one copy, then you would just share it in the regular way. So yeah, if you think, well, there's something extra that I want it to do, maybe just try kind of asking some questions and seeing. There's lots of these in here. I really can't speak on all of them. You'll see there's tons of things in here. You can definitely check it out. Yeah.
Export an Excel file into here.
Yes. Yeah, and that's actually the next thing that I wanted to show you. So, but before we get there, is there any questions on just kind of the basic creation of these documents?
The sharing by groups, and you were just talking like that, Doctopus, is that related to circles, or like how does that relate to your contacts?
You would have to basically copy and paste and put them individually in the spreadsheet. It really has nothing to do with the contact list. Yeah. So you would create a spreadsheet with all the people that you would want to send that document out to. It's really marketed for teachers who would want, basically it's like a photocopier. It hands out an individual copy of each document to each student so they can work on it individually, and then they automatically share it right back with you. You don't have to get students to even hand it back to you. It's already in your shared with me folder. But it might have an application to things like timesheets, or where each person has their own copy, but everyone was working on this. Everyone's document looks the same originally, but everybody would fill in their own personal information.
And it keeps it independent.
Yes. Yeah, because if you share one document and put 20 names in it, all 20 people can go in and see everybody's comments and what they've added. They could delete out other people's stuff. If you use something like Doctopus, it makes it a little bit easier to then, so with one click, you share it out with 20 people, and each person gets their own copy. So, and we can definitely help you if you're wanting to try it. It does have a little bit of setup, but it walks you through step by step to do it. So, okay, so creating them is probably pretty familiar with what you've done with the Microsoft products, but if you want to bring in existing documents, we can do that too. So how we can do this, I'm just going to go back to my drive, and you can either upload them. So there's this little upload button here beside it. You can do files and folder, or you can even just click and drag. So if I just minimize this a little bit and go to my desktop, and I'm just going to see if I have a PowerPoint right here. So I'm going to click and drag, and as I move this in, you'll see incoming, drop your files to instantly upload them to Drive. Now there's a setting in here that I would highly recommend. So now you can see it's uploading. Oh, there we go. So it's been uploaded. I'll put this back to full size. And down here, I should see, there it is, mentorship program orientation, the PowerPoint. Now, this stayed as a PowerPoint, and I know that it did because it has a P. So PowerPoints, if they stay as PowerPoints, they have P's. Excel spreadsheets have X's. I don't have any in here, but a Word document would have a W. You can keep them in their original format. That's if you want to basically just use this as a storage, so an online cloud storage like Dropbox, or I think it's called Cloud. Like there's a whole bunch of different out there. But you may actually want to turn this into a Google Doc. So to do that, up here in your settings, so if you go to the gear, there's this upload settings. And what I would recommend that you do is where it says confirm settings before each upload. Check on that. Just so click on it. So now if I go back and check, you'll see there's a check mark beside confirm settings before each upload. Because now what will happen, I minimize this. Let me see if I have something I can So now when I take this Word document and drop this in, now it's asking me this, upload settings. Set your preferences for uploading files, we'll apply these settings. So now I might say, yes, convert documents to the corresponding Google Docs format. Because I have checked off in my settings, it's going to ask me this every time. If I don't check this off and I hit start upload, it's going to keep it as a Word document. If I do say, yes, convert documents into the corresponding Google Docs format, hit start upload. So you can see here, it has a little W beside it because it was originally a Word document, 2014 Google Training Sessions. But now, if I get rid of that, go down to the bottom, 2014 Google Training Sessions, that's the one I just uploaded. I can see it was at 9:31. Now, instead of having the little W, this blue icon with the white lines, that tells me it's been converted to a Google Doc. So Google Docs have the blue with the white. Google Slides have the yellow with the white square inside, and Google Sheets have the green with the white little grid inside. So I know now that my original Word document has been converted over into a Google document. Now, if you don't have a lot of, like this was just a table, it moved over fine. If you don't have a lot of crazy formatting, we find that these things actually move over fairly well. When you moved over with all those pictures, they came fairly well. That PDF that you worked on? Yeah. Yeah. So we had a PDF that had like pages of photographs with text. We just clicked and dragged and dropped it in and converted it to a Word doc, and it worked out just fine. So again, with a PowerPoint, you may have to go in and check it. You might, like some of your animations may change a bit depending on if it doesn't, like if it's a, because you'll find PowerPoint has way more animation options than Google Slides does. So if you've picked one that doesn't exist in Google Slides, it might not be there. But if they're just basic like slide in or slide out pages, they're probably going to keep working. So if you don't have a lot of really intensive formatting in your original documents, they're probably going to move over just fine. Now you don't feel like you have to be moving your documents. Your S drive is still going to exist. They're not getting rid of that. That will always be here for as long as I'm not sure when if they're ever will eventually disappear, but for now there's no talk of getting rid of the S drive. Really what they're encouraging is like the P drive and the R drive that instructors use to hand out documents to students and for students to hand them back in. They're hoping to get rid of that and have students use Google Drive and instructors to give documents back and forth with their students. So it is really, we're not asking you to take, if you have hundreds of documents in your S or whatever folders that you're using here on campus, don't feel like you have to be putting them into Google Drive. But if it's something that you're accessing quite a bit off campus, perhaps at home, then you might be wanting to move it into your Google Drive. Yeah.
You take a PDF file and drop it in there.
Yep.
How does it know if it's converting it to docs or sheets? Corresponding file, how does it know?
It must be able to recognize that if it's, I don't know if there's some coding that would come along behind it. So again, you may want to just try it, especially if it was a PowerPoint that was a PDF. And so, because we did PDFs. Did you do PDFs of PowerPoints too?
Yeah,
And
what I ended up doing was converted PDFs to PowerPoint to slides, and it was perfect.
oh, okay.
Oh,
See, yeah, and then we have the option with our, because we have the Adobe, like the whole suite, the Creative Suite, that if you aren't able to do that, we could help you and convert it back to a PowerPoint, and then you would be able to just drop it in and move it into slides. Yeah. So, yep. Yes, Terry?
If I'm working in Google Drive and normally would have saved in the S drive.
Yeah.
Access it. When you take a document from Google Drive and save.
Yes, you can. Well, you might have to do an extra step first. You can go into your file and you can download it as a Microsoft Word document. Then from there, you could save it onto a stick or your S drive or your hard drive or whatever. So you can go back and forth between them. But again, you just have to be careful, especially if you have lots of formatting and charts and tables. And so you're just going to have to kind of play with it and see. But yeah, so this is where you can then take your Google Doc and convert it into RDF files, PDF files, plain text files. You have lots of options. So yeah, you definitely can go back and forth. But you can't, right within Google, say save to my S drive. You would probably have to do let's say we did Microsoft Word, it's doing it as a download. So I can see my download bar at the bottom. Then I'd have to go into downloads and then pull that into your S drive. Yeah.
Have you had any experience with publisher files? I was doing an Adobe roll up and it was a nice publisher. Or
No.
I thought maybe that was the problem. It wasn't Google content file.
That could be, because it might be the original file format. It might not know what that's comparable to in a Google Doc. So you may run into, there might be some file types that it can't convert over. So in that case, you might want to leave it as a publisher file and just store it within your drive, but then you wouldn't be able to edit it within your drive. It would just be a place that you could access it, and then you could still share it with other people, and then they could access it, but they'd have to pull it out and then open it in Publisher, completely separate from Google. Yes, it's not, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to be getting a publisher type of
Actually, all Adobe products are going to be within the next like 6 months to a year, they project. They're going to be working with the cloud as well. So Adobe's even catching on to the fact that this is a big deal.
But I don't know though if it's still, like I think it's separate from Google though.
It might be a separate cloud storage program.
But you don't have to actually download the software. You can even start to do some Adobe editing right all from the cloud based. So and Terry, and just to make sure, like, and don't feel like you have to take it from Google, put it into Word, do it, and like go back and forth all the time. So it.
So then, the only reason, like, so let's say you're working in your drive, which is great, you can access it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
And someone else can pull, like, to do your monthly reports, whatever. They could, like, business services could go in to the drive, or do I have to share it?
You would have to share it. Yeah. And that's actually, I think that's, so is there any questions on this piece first? Like the creation of documents, moving documents? Yep.
So if you have a Word document that's already on the Google Drive,
Mm-hmm. I think. Okay, so if I have like this one, seeing if it converts it open for me. I think there is a way, but I think it's. Did you have to open it with? There we go. So if you go in, so if I go back, so I know this is an Excel spreadsheet because it has the X beside it. So I opened it up, and then I went open with, where did I just go to open? There, I clicked on, I opened it, and then I went open with, let's see if this will do it. It's just loading. Open with Google Sheets. And then let's do its thing. This must have been a big spreadsheet. There we go. Now it's a Google Sheet.
The other way would be you click the box next to the icon, and then there's 3 little dots at the top. I think
Okay, let me just, I have too many things open here. Let me get rid of some of these tabs. Okay, so let me go back into my drive.
I think that there's a way to do it here where you can click the X. I don't know, I have the new drive, so you click the box next to it, and there's 3 dots on mine.
Okay, so that might be in the new.
You could do more, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Open with, oh yeah, that'd be much quicker. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's much quicker. So if you just select it right from your Google Drive page, and then once you've done that, go up into your More, open with Google Sheets. Should then force it then to open as a Google Sheets document instead. So yeah, so while we're in here with the More, you can see there's a variety of things you can do. You can move it to another folder if you need to, if you want to star things, if you want to share them, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. If you want to make a copy of a document, you can do that. And if you want to remove it. So removing it puts it in your trash. I'm actually not sure if, because in mail, trash is emptied every 30 days. I think in your drive, I think it stays in your trash. I don't think you have to worry about things disappearing in 30 days. So there's that option as well. And then up here across the top, you have a few more things. You can preview it, you can remove it if you want to move it to a folder, and then if you want to share it. You can share it this way, or you can go right to the document itself. If you're not within the document, if you're just here on this page and you want to share a document, so actually I'm just going to create, let me go down to here, one of my, so I made this one, test for Thursday. I can share it right within the document itself. So I can go up here to share. And this is really where the collaboration piece comes. Up to this point, it's really no different than just working in Microsoft products. You're just creating the documents. Now when you want to share them, right now, I would then type in somebody's name. So I'm going to share this with Amanda. And so her name comes up. And then I can choose what she's able to do. So if you want someone to edit it, if they want the comment, or if you want them just to look at it, you can change those. So if I can edit, and I'm going to send that to her. I can then take this another step further. So this is shared with just her. But if I wanted, if I go up to this get this shareable link, I can now do people at Olds College with the link can view it. So if you were then emailing this out to a bunch of people and you wanted them just to be able to view it, maybe it's 10, 20 people, you don't want to type in all their names. You can just say people at Olds College with the link can view, or people at Olds College with the link can edit, or they can comment, or you can even take it another step further and say anybody with the link, they don't have to have an Olds College account, can look at this or view it or comment on it. So you can do like a whole, there's lots of levels of sharing that you can give this document out. Yep.
If you start the link out,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the link anymore, can they search for it still?
If you make it, the only way would be if it was this option. Anyone on the internet can find it and access it. So if you gave it this level of sharing, if it was this one, they would have to have the specific link. They wouldn't be able to Google search and just look for it. So if that's the case, if you're sending it out by email and there's a chance they might delete the email, they might not be able to find it, you may then want to go back and like specifically give them permission. Because if I just say anyone in Olds College with the link can view it, this doesn't put it in anyone's actual shared with me folder. It just allows them to click on the link and away they go. So that would be as if you were emailing, you copied the link, put it in an email. So like in this case, if I save this, this is the link. I would copy this big long link, put it in an email it to 50 people. They would have to keep that email to be able to access this document. But when I've shared it with Amanda, and so Amanda, if you can go into this document, she then goes into, and I'll pull this up, she's going to share something with me to show you what this looks like. But then now that Amanda has access to this and she's logged in, I can see now that she's in this document. I see her little picture up there. And then her cursor is pink. So if you want to type something. So you can see it's live. It's total collaboration. We're not working on different documents at different times. I don't have to worry about her saving it, sending it to me. I work on it, and then maybe she's done some work while I've been working on it. We would be in the exact same thing. So then I can add to this too. But maybe I'm like, I don't really like what she said. I'm going to delete this out. But she's mad that, well, I wanted you to keep that in there. There is an option, and if you go into File, there's a thing called See Revision History. So when you click on that, you can now see by different times when things have been done. So at 9:44, this is that version. But if I click on this one, it brings back what I deleted out. So if you have people working on a document and someone has deleted something they weren't supposed to, or you had students working on a document together and they deleted something out that their friend had put in, you can go back into the revision history, and I can see that anything in pink is what Amanda has typed, and anything in green is what I have done, because I'm in the, we're using the ETC account. So it shows you I created this at 9:18. And then if this is the one I want to keep, I can go back to restore this revision, and it brings it all back. So that might be when you were asking about losing something or deleting it and you couldn't undo it. If you go back into the revision history, it shows you all the edits that have been done.
Actually, I realize now what it was.
document in my Google Drive, well, in my shared Google Drive, I have that.
Oh, okay, then they would,
I have one heck of a
yeah, they may have to, might be the easiest just to ask them to share it back with you. So that was in file and in revision history. So, and that's in all of them. It's in your sheets and it is in your spread, in your slides as well. But probably if it's a collaborative Word document, that's probably the best place that would be used. So, oh, and then you can have in document chat as well. So that popped up too. And could you also put in a comment and show what that looks like too? So then you can also add comments. So I'm going to put one in here. Did I not give you comments? I think you have to highlight it. Highlight some text and then the comment button pops up. So I think this. Then you can add comments. I'm done with that. You'll see it puts it in over here on the side. So then you could have multiple people. So then Amanda, she's put in her comment. So again, so you can definitely, that's the collaboration piece. That's really the benefit of the Google Docs, is seeing that like she could be across the room for me or she could be all the way across the world and this would look exactly the same. So we both could be working on this at the same time. So definitely where if you're working with people at Calgary campus or like you working with people with all of your different campuses around, then working on this all at the same time, I think there's really the benefit of that. So, yeah.
Stay highlighted like forever? Or?
No, I think once you go into this, once you go in and I resolve it, it takes it out.
So, how do you, so you have to make sure that the document before it's published in any way or sent out to anyone that's not collaborating with it, be PDF'd and with that take care of any resolutions that haven't been done or, you know, like how much history is embedded and not visible when you open a file.
If they have it just as being able to view it, I don't think they can see the revision history and all the comments and all of that. All they can do is just see the actual document. Yeah, yeah. They can't make any changes. But if you want someone to collaborate, make sure that they have the editing privileges so that they can then make changes and yeah. Yep.
I have a question about sharing it. So if
Yep.
I want to share with everyone in the whole college and I want it to download to their drive, what's the best way of doing that?
You would probably what you would suggest that they do is really the only way to make it show up, like, and I'll just go back to my drive. So Amanda shared a document with me. She specifically shared it, like put in my name. Then it goes into the shared with me folder. And it was this keynote for GCon Day 2. I know it was her at 8:53 this morning because she specifically typed in my name. If I go back to an original document, and I can share folders as well in the same way. So maybe this whole folder here. So if I right click just in the space, don't click on the name itself, click in the space beside it. This option comes up. You can share. Come on. Oh, it's over here. If I then wanted everybody in Olds College to get a copy of this, probably the best way to do it is to go, people at Olds College with the link can. Now, would you want them to be working on it or just being able to view it? They would probably have to view it, and then you would maybe need in the email to say, click on this link and make a copy of it. So then you would so then everybody would own a copy of it. You can't force it to go into their shared with me folder unless you typed in everybody's names.
So then that wouldn't be updated. If I update it, they don't have their full screen.
Not if it's making a copy of it. No.
So basically the only way of doing it is just to keep sending the link. The most recent version, like this.
As long as everybody, like what kind of a document is it that you're thinking of?
So, say visa instructions. You know, we want to send visa instructions to everyone if we might update our cost centers.
Mm-hmm.
Updated everyone. We don't want to have to send a link to everybody all the time, or if they lost the link, you know, it'd be nice if it was just downloaded in the drive, and every time we update it, it would be updated.
Right. I think you would have to put in the specific, like, because it would just be specific people that might have credit card information and things. I think you would almost need to share it with those people all individually.
Well, yeah.
Is there quite a few?
Well, I mean, so call centers, for instance, you know, 100 people across the college.
Right.
You know, to put their names in and try to make sure that everyone actually has.
Mm-hmm. There may be some ways, like if you created a site that everyone then accessed and bookmarked that site, when they click on that link, then you could link in Google Docs and Google Sheets and all those things, and then clicking on that then would always update it, but then you would have to send them. Then again, you're kind of just hoping that they bookmark it or save that site. Yeah.
Once you share it to them, if they download it into their drive, that means you can get it constantly. Yeah.
Only if you share it directly with them. If I send it out as a link, and then you just, all you can do is view it, then, so say when you open the document, Amanda, can you share one with me that I can only view? Yeah. Maybe do it as, just share it with me directly. So then if something is ever shared with me and I can't edit it, all I can do is view it. When I go into my shared with me folder, the updates will always be there, but if I ever wanted to type into it, I would have to make a copy. That copy would exist in my drive, and it would no longer be linked back to the original version. So that's why you have to make sure that if someone is sharing something with you, hopefully it comes in here soon. You shared a new one with me? Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, I'll just go back into this. As soon as if anyone shares anything with you, if you go up into File, you can make a copy of it, but making a copy then makes a copy and no longer show, so then if they ever made edits to that original one, your copy would no longer reflect those. Yeah. So you have to be careful. If it's something that you want to be able to see the changes they're making on their ends, don't be making copies of things, because then that connection, that sharing, then is cut. Yep.
The question about the comments. If you've shared that with me and I go in and I comment on it,
yep,
do you get notified? Because if you're not in it live with me, do you know? You get a notification that
no, I think there is a way with the comments, especially if notifications. So you would need to go in and turn those on in your end. So then you would be getting notifications if they say like then your name, and like say I'm responding to you like, hey, this comment is specifically for you. Then if you have it checked off as replies to you and they don't tag you, you might not get notified. So you may want to put these as all, so then you get the notifications that that someone has put comments in it. Yeah. Yep. No. In comments or just in edits?
So it was a document that I shared with all of them.
Right.
And they could register.
Oh, okay.
To take a shuttle to the campus. And so the only way I knew it was something to do was to go back to the document.
Yes. So I think that setting though only is for comments, I think. I don't think it's for just, yes. Yeah. So then to be able to go back, if you go into your drive and like, well, did someone change this? Then you will see it gets bolded again when there's been changes to it. Okay. So that's how you can tell if there's been, like, if I go back to my drive and this instructor development program, it's bolded. I know there's been some changes since the last time I've been in it. And none of these other ones have been. So that's why this one here is different than the others, because of the bolding and the unbolding tells me when there's been changes made. If I've shared this out to somebody else and I need a way to, if I'm not getting those notifications through comments, then I can at least see it on my screen that if it's been bolded, it's been changed since the last time I was in there. Yep.
One thing that I don't like is that you can't see it alphabetically. And when you all of a sudden you got everybody, or Ken, I don't know, but it's always in order of the last. and why. So if people are sharing all over campus and you don't know what they've named something.
Right.
It's like, I love tight libraries.
Right. So you can sort. You can sort it by the last time it was modified. So I can see this one was modified at 9:49 this morning. That would have been the most recent one. I can sort them by who are the owners of them. Come on. Maybe I can't sort by owner. Oh, here. I can sort by owner, last edited by me, last opened by me, the quota used, or I can sort by the title. So you can go back and you can kind of organize it that way. And then, and also don't forget within your drive, if you do like, oh, I know someone shared this document with me and I know it's called what, you can always search for it up here in the top bar. So don't forget you always have your search function up there as well. If you've stuck it in a folder and you can't remember which folder you put it in, if you know the name of your document or at least part of the words of your document, if you start typing it in up there, you should be able to, it'll help you search for it. Yep.
Can you share with the group or circle?
Yes.
You don't have
So
to say if you have 30 students, not enough to do a link, but
if you did, I'm just curious. Maybe try if you made a group in your contacts, because this is always synced to your contacts. I think if you made a group and then shared it specifically with that group, then I think it would go into all those. So you wouldn't have to type in 50 names. You'd have to go through the work of putting them all in a contact list first, but then it would just be checking them off. It wouldn't be having to type. That might solve your... You could. I would probably run that by President's office first, because they're a little touchy of who can send out all staffs and the use of that. So that, and I don't know if I haven't seen anybody share all staff and then have it all show up in our drives. I don't know if they've tried that yet. So, but if it's something that really is like cost centers that everybody needs to have access to, the majority of people, then that might be the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
I'm just wanting to save a document to a stick because I'm going to be working with it on an off-campus site. And I'll probably working on it.
Then you, as long as you have internet, would you have internet?
How do I save that?
Do you have internet? You wouldn't have internet access at all? No? Okay. Then I would do the export it as a Word document, and then it would go into your downloads file, and then you could save that to your stick. Yeah. So when you go into the document itself, yeah. Let me go ahead and put that one. So it was, yeah. So if really the only time you would ever need to export something out of Google Docs is if you knew you were going somewhere, but you also have the option of offline, which might be a better version of taking it out of Google. So there is, and I'm just going to quickly, I know we're just about at 10 o'clock and this will be the last thing I want to show you. There is a Google offline that you can do. And to do that, you do need to go into, and we can help you out if this is something that you have, if you think you might want to use. Basically, it takes everything you have in your Google Drive, it creates almost kind of a temporary cached version on your computer. Then if you could take your laptop with you, if you don't have internet access, you can work on all of those documents, and then as soon as you're back with internet access, it will instantly put them all back into Google Drive again. Because if you take them out of Google Drive, you're going to have to open it in Word, work on it, put it back into Google Drive. If you do everything offline, then it basically just kind of works on it without having internet. You have to do it before you cut off your internet access, so before you leave. So if you travel a lot, if you fly a lot, if you go to a cabin up north somewhere where you don't have internet access, but you want to keep working on some work stuff, so it's Google or you can do Gmail offline, you can do your calendar offline, all of those things. So if you want to Google it and how do I do Google Drive offline, it would walk you through the steps of doing it, and we could help you out with that as well, but I definitely wanted to throw that out before we ended today. So that would then stop you from having to put it in another version, put it back, especially if you think you're ever going to work on it again in Google. If it's something that once you PDF it, it's done, you never want to put it back into Google again, then you could download it as a PDF and distribute it out to all your people. But if there's ever a chance you need to work on it again, I would keep it in Google and do the offline work instead.
And will it take not just Google Docs, but everything?
Yes.
I think I have one more and
Okay.
but I think I've lost my specifics. Because I'm crazy about filing.
Yes.
In order that
Yeah.
makes sense. If someone has shared something with me, like when I go into our department shared group, when somebody shared something and I want to put it in a folder,
Yes.
with their department name.
Yes,
or
you can do
something,
that.
but
Yes.
I think it breaks the link or
Nope.
something. Because there was something I did and I had some problems.
Okay. So if someone has shared with me, come on, loading. It is always going to live in the shared with me folder, but then I can take this, so maybe Amanda has shared this document with me, and I know I have a specific folder I want to put it in. It has nothing to do with where she has it on her end, so she may have shared this, she may have this in layers and layers of folders. She shared this one particular thing with me. If I go over here and I'm going to right click, I can move this to, and I might, so now I'm back in my drive, and I'll just say my drive. So if I select it, move it. So now I can see it's still in my shared with me folder, but now it's been labeled with this My Drive beside it. So now when I go into My Drive, I don't have to go back into the shared with me folder to get it. It should be, where is it? Keynote for GCon Day 2. Then I can move that into a folder if I want to.
Okay, and I think that's what I did wrong, was when I'm in the shared with me, and I wanted to put in a specific folder in the
Yeah.
shared with me.
Oh, that you can't. Like if you, yes. So don't try to move a shared with me folder into or like a shared with me file into another shared with me folder. Move it into one of your own folders in your drive. So you would want to move it into something specifically in here, in your drive.
Not really been shared with me. Start to
Organize it.
folders.
I know. That's what I look at this and I'm like, it's such a mess and it's just stuff from all, I know. So then that's where you would take, yes.
We've only been doing this for a few months.
I know. I agree. I have looked at this and said, it's a mess because everyone just puts stuff in here. But then that's where you can then take these and move them into existing folders you have in your drive, and then you never have to go back into your shared with me folder. You can just stay within your drive and they exist in there instead.
If I edit things in the My
It's okay.
Is it
It's still,
updating
yes.
okay.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what I do, because I did have a document like within our department that I was editing every day, and Gordon had shared it with me, and I hated coming back into here and trying to find it. So then I moved it over into a specific folder in my drive, and now I can access it just from in here. I never have to go back to my shared with me folder.
So we have to learn to ignore some of this stuff.
Yes. That's right. Yes. So move things from your shared with me into your drive, and then you never have to go into your shared with me unless someone shares something with you again. Yeah.
Okay.
And then one last thing, I know it's 10 o'clock and we have jobs to get back to, is if you do discard or remove something, you're just taking it out of your drive. You are not deleting that person's original document. So if somebody has shared something with you and you're like, I don't need this anymore, we're done with this, they haven't unshared it with me, just hit the garbage can. It takes it out of your drive, but it doesn't do anything to the original. That person still owns that document.
And the
Okay.
people they've shared it with.
Yes. No. It's just taking it out of, you don't have access to it anymore. You would maybe need to contact them to get it back if you did still need it. Yeah.
Have to share it back.
Yeah. You didn't mean to, or you needed it after you had discarded it. Yeah. You can go into the sharing settings and take sharing away. You can remove people out of it. Or you can change it so it's back to just private so that nobody with the link can look at it anymore. Yeah. So any of these that are shared, what was one that I had shared? Where's this one? So I can see it's shared because it has the word shared beside it. So I'm going to right click outside of it, go back into the share settings. Oh. Come on. I can change this. I can get rid of her, so I can X out her name. and I can change this. Oh, I gotta save that first. And I can change this so nobody, turn that off, save it. So now it's private. I'm the only one that can access it. So yeah, you can take sharing away from people, especially if a project is done and you don't want them editing on it anymore, then I would take their sharing away so that they don't accidentally go back in and do some changes. That's a good question. That is starting to come up now that we've had people here working on Google and now are leaving. You can grant access. So if somebody within your department is leaving, you would probably want them to grant you access to their account. But then once IT gets information from HR that a person is no longer here, they are going to suspend their account. And we think then when that happens that if you've been granted access, you can't get into their account anymore. So there is a way that you can do a backup of within Google that would then basically create a big zip file of all of your documents. I know it was Jeff Zacharias that explained this to me the other day, that there is a way that you can do that. Then you would be able to go in and access. But they're within, it's a little tricky because Google, like in Outlook, you used to be able to save each email as a separate file. But now in Google, it's all basically web-based. So there really isn't a way to take an email and pull it out as a separate file because it's part of a website, not a file-based thing. So if you are running into that where you have people leaving in your department, contact IT and let them know. If it is just a few certain emails that you need to have access to, they could just forward them to you. But if you needed to have access to someone's whole email account, then and Drive would go along with it, then you would probably want to contact IT and find out the best way to do that. Yeah. And then if they did share a document with you, you can change ownership as well. So within the document, you can go in and say that it was mine, but I'm going to let Amanda take it over. So if people are leaving, that might be something to do too, is to go in, take all their documents, change ownership to you, and then they become your documents. So you're not accessing them out of their account anymore. Okay, so that's Drive, a whirlwind tour of Drive. I hope I've addressed most of what you were hoping to get out of today. We can stay and answer a few questions if you're interested, if you do have some time. And again, just remember, you can always go in and Google it. You can always go in and ask the questions. I would highly recommend really that offline. If you are getting in, like starting to pull things out of Google and then putting them back in because you are going where you don't have internet access, probably offline would be the best way to do that. You can also do Google Drive for Windows, where it basically saves, and you can access all of your Google documents through your Windows on your desktop. I haven't used it a lot. Some people use it quite a bit. So it just depends on kind of how you like to access your documents. If you're always using the same one computer, you could download it. It lives on your computer. But if you're doing everything web-based, if you're using multiple computers at a variety of locations, it probably isn't the thing you would need to do.
It's probably really good if you have a Mac at home and Windows. Yeah.
It will be exactly the same. Yeah. Yes, we have a few of those. Okay, yes, thank you.